Meet the California island fox, nature's tiny wonder. Think you know what a fox looks like? Sharp ears, cunning eyes, and that signature bushy tail, right? Now, imagine shrinking it down to the size of a house cat and dropping it onto a wild, isolated island for nearly 9,000 years. No predators, no backup. Barely enough food to survive. What happens next isn't just survival, it's transformation. This tiny creature didn't just adapt, it reinvented itself. Faster, smarter, and perfectly tuned to its island home. This is the California island fox, a living masterpiece of evolution and proof that when nature traps you, it doesn't destroy you. It redesigns you. Roughly 7,000 to 9,000 years ago, during the tail end of the last great ice age, the world looked a little different. Sea levels were considerably lower, meaning the northern Channel Islands weren't quite so separated. In fact, they formed one large landmass that scientists call Santa Rosa. It was around this time that a few adventurous, or perhaps just unlucky, mainland gray foxes likely drifted across the Santa Barbara Channel. How? Probably on floating debris. Think natural rafts of vegetation carried by currents. It wasn't exactly a planned expedition, more like an accidental voyage. These intrepid, albeit unwitting pioneers landed on this larger island. Then, as the Ice Age drew to a close, things changed dramatically. The glaciers melted, sea levels began to rise, and that land bridge, that tenuous connection to home, slowly but surely vanished beneath the waves. Suddenly, these foxes were truly stranded. There was no way off, no easy return ticket. But with this isolation came a curious twist, a striking absence of large predators. No coyotes, no mountain lions, no bobcats to contend with. On the flip side, there was also, crucially, no Costco. The buffet was small, seasonal, and utterly unpredictable. In that tight squeeze, with resources scarce and life-demanding, the standard fox blueprint, the one designed for the mainland, just didn't cut it anymore. It was time for a radical redesign, courtesy of Mother Nature. What happened next is a textbook example of something biologists call Foster's Rule, or the island rule. It's a fascinating phenomenon where, on islands, small animals often evolve to become huge. Think of New Zealand's thundering, flightless moa, or the famously enormous dodo. But conversely, big animals tend to shrink, and our island fox falls squarely into that second category. Why the downsize? It all comes down to calories. Dwarfism, or insular dwarfism, as it's formally known, is a brilliant strategy for saving energy. A 4-pound island fox needs roughly a third of the calories its 9-pound mainland ancestor would devour. When every single berry, every insect, every scrap of food truly counts, being smaller becomes a massive advantage. The runt of the litter, the one that could survive on half a lizard and a few prickly pear fruits, was the one that got to stay alive, stay alert, and, most importantly, stay reproductive. Over hundreds, even thousands of generations, natural selection relentlessly favored the small, the swift, and the snack-efficient. This wasn't a quick process, but a slow, continuous refinement. 9 millennia later, the descendants of those castaway gray foxes barely top 5 pounds and stand a mere 12 inches tall, about 1/3 smaller than their mainland cousins. This size reduction is a classic evolutionary response to the unique pressures of island life. Limited resources, a different set of predators, or lack thereof, and the sheer ecological constraints of a finite space. Here's where the story gets even more intricate. Every single island became its own distinct evolutionary petri dish. Imagine 6 separate laboratories, each with slightly different conditions, all starting with the same basic ingredient. Today, we don't just have an island fox. We have 6 distinct subspecies, each one a unique microevolutionary marvel, wearing its own subtle island fashions. Take the foxes on San Miguel Island, for instance. They tend to sport shorter tails and slightly longer noses. Head over to Santa Catalina, and you'll find residents that are often a touch darker in coloration. And the Santa Rosa foxes? They're typically the leggiest of the bunch. These subspecies didn't just evolve. they diverged, developing genetic and morphological differences that are quite remarkable. We see variations in things like the number of tail vertebrae and even skull shape, all tailored to their specific island environments. And here's the kicker: they don't interbreed. The deep, often turbulent channels between these islands are simply too wide, too formidable a barrier for a 4-pound predator to cross. So each isolated population has continued to write its own unique micro-chapter of the same grand evolutionary book, showcasing rapid speciation in action. Genetic evidence suggests the northern islands were colonized first, with subsequent dispersal to the southern islands, possibly even aided by early human transport, further diversifying the lineage. Now, here's where the island fox truly flips the script and challenges some long-held biological assumptions. The classic island syndrome often suggests that when animals shrink their bodies, they also tend to shrink their brains. It makes sense, right? Fewer calories, less need for complex thought. But not here. Oh no, not with these clever little canids. Recent CT scans and research have revealed that island foxes carry a relatively bigger brain compared to their mainland gray fox relatives. This isn't just a minor difference. It suggests enhanced encephalization, meaning their brains are disproportionately large for their body size. What does a bigger brain get you? Smarter, not harder. This unique evolutionary trajectory, defying the typical trend, suggests a profound link to the complex ecological challenges of island life. Limited resources often demand more versatile foraging strategies and problem-solving skills. On Santa Cruz, foxes have been observed cleverly opening plastic food crates, a testament to their ingenuity. On San Clemente, they've honed their senses to stalk nesting birds by the mere sound of wings fluttering in the dark. And on Santa Rosa, they skillfully navigate dense poison oak thickets to ambush deer mice. Yes, a bigger brain burns more calories, but the calories saved by their smaller bodies seem to perfectly balance that ledger, making intelligence a highly successful survival trait in their island kingdoms. Their unique brain size evolution challenges the notion that island species must undergo brain size reduction, suggesting a different path influenced by environmental pressures and possibly even early human interactions. These aren't just cute, tiny foxes, they're perfectly engineered survival machines, each equipped with its own set of built-in Swiss Army tools. Just check out those paws. Unlike most canids, island foxes possess semi-retractile claws. Think of it, basically cat hardware on a dog chassis. This isn't just for show. These claws allow them to scramble with surprising agility up steep cliffs and into low tree branches, expanding their foraging grounds vertically. And their night vision? Absolutely phenomenal. They have a reflective eye layer called a tapetum lucidum, which acts like a biological mirror, bouncing light back through the retina to enhance vision in low-light conditions. If you've ever seen an island fox at night, its eyes glow like luminous emerald discs in a torchlight, a clear sign of their superb nocturnal adaptations. And their diet? Talk about adaptable. They are true omnivores, eating whatever's in season and available, a crucial trait when resources are unpredictable. Their menu is incredibly varied: sweet manzanita berries, crunchy beetles, scavenged crab carcasses, vulnerable gull eggs, and even the pads of prickly pear cacti. If it fits in a fox mouth and doesn't put up too much of a fight, it's probably on the menu. This flexibility in diet, including native and introduced species, and even marine resources, varies by island and season, showcasing their remarkable ability to exploit diverse food sources. With no coyotes, no mountain lions, and no bobcats to contend with, the island fox naturally stepped into a crucial ecological role. It became the island's largest native terrestrial predator. That crown sounds incredibly impressive, doesn't it? And it is, in its own way. They are the top of the local food chain. Until, that is, a golden eagle, perhaps vacationing from the mainland, spots a 4-pound snack from above. This is where their story took a tragic turn in the late 1990s. Golden eagles, normally rare visitors to the Channel Islands, began to establish themselves, drawn by an abundance of feral pig carcasses. These pigs, introduced by humans, provided an easy, plentiful food source for the eagles. But once the eagles settled in, they discovered a new easy meal: the naive, ground-dwelling island foxes, who had evolved without fear of aerial predators. The impact was catastrophic. Island fox populations crashed dramatically and swiftly. Some islands lost a staggering 95% of their animals in just a few short years. On Santa Rosa, one of the hardest-hit islands, the population plummeted to a terrifying low of just 15 individuals. It was a stark, brutal reminder that even a tiny apex predator can be incredibly vulnerable when a new, unforeseen threat emerges. The situation was dire, but the response was swift and heroic. Biologists recognized the crisis immediately, initiating an emergency endangered listing for 4 of the 6 subspecies. What followed was an unprecedented, multi-pronged conservation effort, often referred to as the eagle-fox-pig triangle. It required bold, sometimes controversial decisions. To protect the foxes, conservationists undertook a massive program of relocating the golden eagles, capturing them, and transporting them back to the mainland. Simultaneously, they launched an ambitious and challenging effort to eradicate the feral pig populations, eliminating the primary lure for the eagles in the first place. But that wasn't all. To bolster the dwindling fox numbers, intensive captive breeding programs were established. Foxes were carefully captured using helicopter nets, brought into protective breeding pens, and nurtured back to health. Their offspring eventually reintroduced to the wild. The dedication paid off in spades. Within an astonishingly short period, less than 20 years, the numbers rebounded dramatically. On Santa Rosa alone, the population soared from those critical 15 individuals to over 1,500. Today, the Channel Islands host more island foxes than at any time since record-keeping began, making this one of the most remarkable and textbook wildlife recoveries in conservation history. It's a powerful testament to what focused, science-driven intervention can achieve. The California island fox is more than just a cute animal with a compelling backstory. It's a living, breathing demonstration that evolution isn't some dusty, ancient museum piece that happened eons ago. No, it's a dynamic, rapid, and ongoing negotiation between living things, their environments, and the relentless march of time. It's a constant imperative: shrink, grow, think, adapt, or vanish. This tiny fox embodies the incredible plasticity of life, its ability to respond to extreme pressures and carve out a niche against all odds. And its recovery? That's a powerful reminder that if we blink, if we look away, we can lose an entire evolutionary story mid-sentence. Conservation isn't just about saving individual animals. It's about preserving these incredible narratives, these irreplaceable chapters in the book of life. The dedicated efforts of scientists and conservationists bought us another chapter for the island fox. Keeping that chapter open, ensuring its vibrant future, is now entirely up to us. This tiny wonder teaches us about resilience, adaptation, and the profound impact of human choices on the natural world. So, next time you picture a fox, let that image of its mainland cousin expand to include its extraordinary island relative. Remember this tiny monarch, 9,000 years marooned, every calorie counted by the berry, facing predators the size of eagles, exchanging brute strength for a sharp intellect. And now, 6 distinct subspecies ruling 6 windswept kingdoms just off the vibrant California coast. Evolution didn't just happen to them. It actively transformed them, turning scarcity into specialization, isolation into innovation, and a humble castaway into nothing less than nature's tiny wonder. If that isn't worth protecting, if that isn't worth celebrating, I honestly don't know what is. Do bizarre survival stories, incredible adaptations, and conservation triumphs get your tail wagging? Then you'll definitely want to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the next island oddity we uncover. Thanks for watching. If you're hungry for more amazing tales of adaptation and resilience, dive deeper into island evolution with the playlist popping up on screen. Don't forget to tap subscribe and I'll see you on the next adventure.